Hey, Europe, let it go. Let Greece go, and go ahead and let other sick members go if the Greeks go. It is time to move on because you, my European Union fans, are frozen in time. Quit trying to make this club of yours work and just heave a club and tell those you keep bailing out they don't qualify and see if that works. Yes, now it could mean Italy follows, maybe Spain, even Portugal, even France. Maybe your whole club disbands. Maybe the European Union itself goes away, and the once vaulted single European currency of yours goes away too. You know and I know it was a stupid union and ridiculous club to begin with. Okay, maybe you don't believe that, but I do. You're likening it to the United States of America and 50 states under the same giant umbrella was stupid then and it's stupid now. Our states here answer to the same federal government. Newsflash, Europe, Greece and Italy don't feel the same way about a union I call Greater Germany. Ain't happening, never was meant to, never will. So let me put it simply. Give up on this club of yours completely. Give the Greeks back their drachma, the Italians their lira, and their cultures and roots and their freedom. Germany failed at conquering the continent nearly 80 years ago. Recognize the obvious and don't give them a chance to do it again. This is saying nothing negative about Germany. It's just that it's a new world. It's the same Europe that doesn't want to be part of this new world. It's a former Bush 41 economic policy advisor, Todd Buchholz, who agrees with everything I just said. Todd, what do you think? Let it go.
Well, I think you'll never get a drink of ouzo again.
Yeah, I'm done.
They're taking away the Chobani yogurt, even though that's made here in the States. You're not getting any of it.
But I wonder, you know, a lot of Greeks are the first to say, if this is the pain we have to endure for this wonderful nirvana, it ain't worth it.
Well, and it's not worth it. And here's the key, and here's the key to the timing. Italy and Spain are no longer quite the basket cases they were.
You're right.
If you look at Italy,
the fear is they would be, right, if Greece went.
But today, when Greece looks like it's very close to being pushed out and interest rates, its bond yields have soared to 13%, Italy and Spain are still borrowing at 2% or less today. So it looks like the opportune time for Greece to leave without the contagion being something that causes pneumonia. But is it the end of the
world if you leave this club? It'd be like any club that accepts me as a member is a club I don't want to be part of.
Well, yeah, well, look at Iceland. Now, Iceland wasn't part.
Don't get me started on Iceland.
Yeah, there's your frozen metaphor.
There you go. There we go.
Look what Iceland did during the whole meltdown. They basically reneged on all of their debt.
You're right.
They left even some British police pension plans high and dry, and they said, "Forget it. We're not paying back any of this." And you know what? Iceland's economy has been growing. And Iceland,
so too Argentina after the whole debt crisis.
Iceland was
so there is life after something like this.
Yes, and I'll tell you, one of the problems that Greece has had, let's look at it this way, among Greece's industries that are successful, tourism, for instance. But if you're stuck as a Greek hotelier or restaurateur in euros, it's much tougher to discount what you're doing. Imagine if the drachma, as it was, had fallen 50% 3 or 4 years ago, all the German tourists would be rushing to take their vacations in Greece. So I think actually it would be a good thing ultimately for the Greece economy to shed these shackles. But what are the other economies?
I mean, we can't force everyone to be pegged to the same thing, right? I mean, they're not states in the United States. That never made sense.
No, they don't fit. And it really should have just been a German alliance, possibly with the French.
Well, what would happen, Todd, if the whole thing disbanded? If the Europeans just said, you know, it's not working, we're moving on, we're back to all our local currencies.
Well, here are two serious issues. First of all, the Germans are scared to death that if it breaks apart, the value of their currency, which would be a new Deutschmark, would skyrocket, and German exporters wouldn't be able to sell their stuff in the world because the Daimler-Benz cars would be too expensive and SAP software. And so Germans are afraid their currency would be too strong.
Daimler-Benz customers would happily pay more for their stuff. I'm just saying, my own view, and you're the expert here, but as you know, I read a prompter pretty well, is that there's a market for good stuff. They make a lot of good stuff. And there's a reality that we've failed to see here, that Europe is better in its individual strengths and countries than it is amalgamated.
Now, if instead of skinny little me, you had Helmut Kohl, 380 pounds here, what he would tell you...
I love that guy.
You ever have a meal with him?
He helped big men everywhere.
Yes. Well, he would tell you it's not economics, it's politics. The Eurozone is a political movement. So I ask you this in all seriousness. Vladimir Putin in Russia would be salivating at the idea that Europe falls apart if Greece falls out. Remember, he went to all these lengths to send his stormtroopers into Crimea and Ukraine. Well, if he can basically create a partnership with Greece, and we know that through the Cyprus crisis in banking a couple of years ago, there's a lot of Russian money in that part of.
You're right about that.
That's
okay,
why
I didn't think of that little part. Okay,
that's what you've got.
The whole global security.
That's why you've got.
But I still think I'm right.
I'm sure you're right too. But the State Department is calling up the White House.
So
and
that's
saying,
the fear. Keep it together
here.
so Russia doesn't move.
That's right. Vladimir Putin's a pretty dangerous, wily guy. In fact, I have a piece in
But
Time.
I looked in his eyes. He looked perfectly fine.
I have a piece in Time magazine, actually, just this week.
Go ahead.
Urging Vladimir Putin to go see the Broadway show Dr. Zhivago because he's like one of those, characters from 100 years ago. Can't trust him.
I had a piece in Highlights where find a toothbrush. It was the same kind of thing. Todd, you are a genius. He's got his beautiful daughter here today, and she's got the same DNA, so she's a genius too. Meanwhile,